Tour operators have not been allowed to operate since the beginning of this pandemic. Let's find out how they've been coping and what's going to happen next inside your spotlight on Now.
And in this morning's Zoom, we have three people with us to talk about, how tour operators have been surviving, just how the tourism sector has been surviving, considering that since the beginning of the pandemic, they have literally been out of operation for probably over 15 months now. So let's welcome the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Coalition of Industries and Services, Mark Edgehill, Lorraine Pouchet, who from Enjoy Tours, and also president of the Trinidad and Tobago Incoming Tours Operators Association, as well as its treasurer, who is also from Nanon's Carney Sanctuary, Alistair Nanon. Y'all gonna tie up my tongue. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning, Natalie. Good morning.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to have you all on. So, Mark, I'll start with you as you represent the services industries. What has it been like for these tour operators outside of even Enjoy Tours and Nanon's Carney Sanctuary in terms of surviving the pandemic and getting any kind of opportunities to operate?
Hi, Natalie. Good morning.
Morning.
Firstly, your other two guests this morning are going to give you the details on their specific experiences and what's happening there. But an overall picture on what's going on in the tourism sector, specifically the tour operators, event planners, and so on, has been, as you said earlier, a complete shutdown since March of 2020, with limited access to the available funding or the available grants, which we have seen less than 15% uptake by service providers, due to the fact that a lot of them are non-compliant. Sector literally with as much as 60% female operated. So it's considered a vulnerable group of people that need to have assistance. The support for the opening of the local operators and the local sites has been the biggest point of contention, because the operators have done what they needed to do to provide protocols and safe operating procedures so that they can open their businesses and have local tourism while our borders were closed, access those services and those sites. And I believe Mr. Nana is going to indicate what happened in his circumstance, where he was allowed to open and then he was shut back down.
Right.
But given the circumstances now, a lot of other areas are opening, and we're not seeing the same actions being taken to assist this vulnerable group to get back to work and to get back earning an income.
Well, Lorraine, let me bring you in on the conversation. How do you feel when you see, water parks open and the public health regulations that say no more than 10 people can gather? So I would want to believe that, with a tour you can do 10 people or under and you would still be within the public health regulations.
Thanks for the question, Natalie. We all know what has happened since March last year, total shutdown for the tourism sector, particularly tour operators. And I just want to mention here that it's not just the tour operators that have an issue with it, because we have a whole downstream of persons that benefit from the tourism industry. We have tour guides, taxi drivers, sites and attractions. All these people benefit. And as a matter of fact, I think just about 2 members of our association received a grant from NETCO, and maybe 10% of the staff that work with our members, actually, those who applied actually received any sort of assistance for not being employed. Now, that being said, I want to focus on solutions. I want to focus on what can we do to move this thing forward. I believe that a very well orchestrated, planned, and executed domestic tourism campaign will help us not only domestically and to create some form of income for the practitioners in the tourism sector, but certainly for the government, because we all pay taxes, but that it will be a dry run for when we actually open up properly and have visitors coming in here. For example, the sites and attractions, 1 or 2 are open. And we don't understand why only one or two are open, because we are accustomed as tour operators taking around groups of 10 or maybe 20 people, even less, 5, 3, whoever wants to go. We take people to the various sites and attractions and we do tours. We are accustomed to giving the type of quality service that is required and the safety and security issues, because that's our job. We bring in international visitors, we deal with international partners, and our public liability insurance is quite onerous, and we must live up to the expectations of the persons that we are supplying to. So I want to suggest that the government looks at ensuring that all these sites and attractions are ready. You have so many sites and attractions that their protocols are in place. The tour operators have done intensive training through the Tourism Trinidad and through CAFA and through COSTAT, where we have done training in boat, how to secure our boats properly, how to have them properly sanitized, etc. We have done training for tour guiding, for tour operating, for sites and attractions. We attended all the training, every single thing that was asked of us. And we find it kind of difficult to appreciate or to understand how people could be living in a bar and drinking, how water parks could be open. There absolutely doesn't seem to be any sort of distancing or safety things in place to secure the persons who are participating in these things. And for example, down the islands tour, a boat could take 10 people quite comfortably and do a really nice tour down the islands. So why are you closing us off? Why are you stopping us from earning an income and being able to survive? So I would like to say that I hope that whoever is listening to this can understand that we have been accustomed doing these domestic tourism tours for years. We started since, 25 years ago, and we have built it to have a reputation that we give excellent service. Our brand is Experience TNT, and the Tour Operators Association, which is fondly known as TOA, we pride ourselves on reaching out to our clients, our customers, whether they are domestic or international, and giving them an experience that is second to none.
Right. And Mr. Nana, let me bring you in on the conversation now. Where do you stand on the issue? Because as Lorraine just explained, since March 2020, you've been closed down. How have you been able to manage?
Good morning, panel. Good morning, TNT. Well, as Lorraine mentioned, with the lockdown, when we were allowed to open, we took the initiative to launch a new niche to the market when we did the dinner tours at the Caroni Swamp. We developed that, and that was going pretty well. So that is like a private boat, so a family alone could be on the boat, a private boat. And we followed all protocols, sanitization, everybody would mask up, social distancing and stuff like that. And it was working really well. What I want to make clear is that our tours are structured educational tours, which is in the school and university curriculum. I think we are being classified as party boats. We are not party boats. It's an educational tour where we educate the public about the importance of the Caroni Swamp and the essential ecosystem and the contribution it has. All right. It's no secret that for generations, my family has been fighting for the protection of the scallop ibis and the environment in TNT. And we developed these tours since the 1930s, sorry. That's over 80 years ago. All right?
Yeah.
We are very involved in conservation work and preservation. And we need to be at the swamp there to monitor the species. We also do cleanup projects and the maintenance. The authorities, there is very little presence with the authorities, so I can imagine what is going on right now in the swamp coming closer to Christmas, because they target the scallop ibis and the flamingos for their meat and stuff like that.
Wow. So, Mark, I know you normally make representation to the government on behalf of people within the services industries, which would include Lorraine and Alistair. Why are they being classified as party boats, and what has been your position at the table in terms of trying to get the government to understand the work that these people do?
Natalee, firstly, obviously, I can't say why they're being classified as party boats, but I think one of the main issues and one of the things that we are suggesting, there aren't sufficient people from the sectors represented on the decision-making boards and panels. And we need to have the establishment of a standing committee comprising of all the stakeholders and all the people who are active in this sector, who can give first-hand information on what the challenges are and what potential solutions are in fixing the problems. Now, in terms of representation with respect to government, I must say that the Ministry of Trade has been very receptive to our calls for assistance. Minister Gopi Schoon has been very cooperative and very open to discussions. So we're very pleased about that, and we'd like to thank you for all the support as well. But we are looking now for better understanding to be had by the government of what the tour operators and the tourism sector is looking like, and the potential that it has to operate with the pandemic still active, and the fact that the virus is not going anywhere. We are all going to have to get accustomed to living with the virus. We need to operate safely, and these institutions and these operators have all gone through the process, as Lorraine has said earlier, in ensuring that they have the protocols in place and have done the training and have done the approvals of their protocols that prove that they can operate safely and mitigate risk. And we need the opportunity to have them, have those able to operate. We can't understand, again, we know the government is under pressure. We know the government is stretched, especially with rotating employees and so on. So I know that a lot can fall through the cracks, but there are things that are very important, like assessing some of these sectors, not only to operators. I mean, real estate had a significant problem in the past as well, where they're extremely low risk operators, and they were locked down for 4 months recently. So, we need to have the ability to come to the table and say, listen, these sectors are safe to operate. Do your own assessment of it, and let's get them back to work. So that's basically where we are right now, which is why we're here this morning.
Lorraine, at this point, are you able to say, how much money you think the sector has lost as a result of being locked down for the last 20 months?
100% of what we normally earn. That's as much as I can say, because none of us have really had any sort of income, and we do have all our normal expenses, our rents, our storage, etc. What I would like to say, though, Natalie, is that it would be very nice if the government could consider bringing us to the table, because tourism is private sector driven and public sector supported. Since March last year, I, as president of this association, have not had any face-to-face Zoom contact with anybody at the Ministry of Tourism. So they really do not know what we are going through, because they have not consulted with us. They have not given us an opportunity to express to them how serious the matter is. Yes, policymakers can make policy and can guide, but it should be based on information that is received from the practitioners and those who are very experienced. TETOR has been around for the past 30-something years. Most of us have been involved in tourism for 30, 40, 50, 60, and as Alistair said, 80 years. We know what we're about, but you are making decisions for the sector without consultation with the key stakeholders in this sector. And I think that is a sad thing. That is something that needs to be addressed, because the Tour Operators Association is about Trinidad and Tobago. We are not about any particular political affiliation. We are about Trinidad and Tobago. And how can we improve our country? How can we make our country be known and appreciated worldwide? How can we open up to the Caribbean, to the regional, and to the international visitors? We need to have that collaboration so that we can approach it and target our visitors and target the product as best as we can, ensuring that we as the operators stick to the protocols that have been requested and recommended by the government.
And sorry, not Mark, Alistair, how do you think this is going to impact the kind of, what kind of impact do you think is going to have on the long-term operations of tour guides, tour operators, on the tourism sector as a whole?
It's going to be detrimental if we don't get up and running again. Because right now, for me, most of my guides have moved on. So I have to retrain guides. We have to service equipment. As Lorraine is saying, it's costly to even keep the equipment down rather than to have it up and running. The swamp, I know for a fact we'd have to go and clean up channels and make sure it's passable and stuff like that. It's an expensive thing when you have to get up and get it started back, The infrastructure of all these sites and attractions is in a dilapidated condition. Just last week, I myself had to fix the road at the Caroni Swamp, which is also an access road to a government facility down there, So if And one thing I want to say is people are very confused. We have open borders with new airlines on board, but people can only stay in their hotels or drive around. We need to get the sites and attractions open, as Mark said. We are ready and willing. We are following all protocols. Everybody have vaxxed and everything. Why is the keep up? We need to get up and running.
All right, lady, gentlemen, we are out of time, but I want to thank you so much for sharing what's happening in that particular sector with us. And hopefully, you know, the government will hear and will make some adjustments, because I think, who am I to tell the government what to do? But I think that it is something that can be done, just as how they put, you know, other measures in place, 50%, whatever the number might be, so that you all can be able to operate safely. But thank you for being with us this morning.
And thank you for having us, Natalie. Very much appreciated.
You're most welcome. Mark Edgehill, Alistair Nanan, and of course, Lorraine Pouchet talking to us about, you know, tour guides. Guys, what do you think? I think it's something that they can really try to treat with, because how do you explain, as they say, everything else being reopened, including water parks, but you can't do these tours where you can cut the number of people on a tour as well?
And like Alistair was saying as well, I've seen the images and videos of the dinner tours, and it seems to be less impactful than the images of the bars that we're seeing currently.
Yeah.
So why the bars are not something as simple as a tour?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I fully agree. At the end of the day, if it is they able to keep the numbers safe, and it's all about the consultation, and it's about a matter of priority as well.
Well, that's so just that there has been no consultation.
So if the consultations do happen, then they don't understand what's happening, and as a result, they can't channel that information down the right paths.
And she said they've done all the training with CARF and stuff. And so it's not as if they haven't tried to put things in place to ensure that they can operate.
And this is just one of the parts of the sector that's struggling, you know, that we're able to shine a light on. But we take a break and come back with more. We're going to get into some more conversation when we come back. Stay tuned.